Hello, hello. All right, so let's get started. I know it's in the middle of the day, but it's the only time I had today. So anybody watching the replay, welcome, welcome. Anybody hopping on now, welcome. Make sure that you post a 1 below in the comments if you are new to catching me live, if it's your first through third time, and if you're an oldie but goodie, you guys know what to do. So a 1 below if it's your first through third time, a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure to say hi, tell me where you're from, and if you want to say anything about your children, we'd love to hear about it. So today we are going to be continuing the series on evaluations and assessments. All right, I love talking about assessments. I love getting assessments and going over them with school districts. And even though they get me all worked up, all right, especially when I don't see a good one, I do like going over them with school districts because I feel like I have a little bit of a value to add to what it is that they've done, just like they can add value to me, and we can learn from each other. It's important to understand assessments, what assessments are out there that are appropriate for your child. And it's important to know the ones that you can ask for. Many times we get, hey, sign this consent form. And it has a checkoff list. I just got one yesterday for a client. Checkoff list of cognitive, hearing, vision, check, 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 right? Well, that's fine and all, okay? But not enough. Especially in my IEP meetings where I'm asking for specific evaluations. Now, I will say that legally, in regards to IDEA, all right, you cannot say or demand, or you can say, but you can't demand, I want the KTEA, or I want the WIAT 4, or I want the DOS 2, And even if you support it, technically speaking, they can do whatever evaluation they want. Okay, we've talked about this before. We talked about it last time. So I want to put that out there again so that you guys know this. Now, how I break through that barrier, if you will, is I'm very specific in what I ask for. I have reasoning to back up why I ask for it. Many times it's because they haven't either evaluated that child at all, or in some of the states where they do a read, which is a review of existing data, and then they have the parent sign that they waive their right to the triennial evaluation. Totally screwed up because it confuses parents. Parents don't know, and they sign this document thinking that that's what the school told them to do, so they sign it. And so then their child's not formally evaluated at all for several years. I have a child that was not evaluated for 7 years, and then I'm asking for specific evaluations. But even children that hadn't been evaluated for, say, 2 years or 3 years, I'm very specific about the evaluations that I want because, number one, parents come to me because they want something done. They know something's not right. They know something's not, where it should be. They know their child's not being served in the way in which they should, or their rights or their child's rights aren't being upheld, and more, right? And to find out the whole picture, these evaluations have to be done. Now, are they everything in regards to putting the present levels together, which is your meat and potatoes of your IEP? You can't create an IEP without accurate present levels, why I have to repeat that to school districts is beyond me when they know it. And if you look it up on the state website, in every state, it tells you exactly the detail that has to go into the present levels and how important they are. Yet school districts question when I say, no, we're going to put in all of these deficits that we found. And they struggle with that for some reason. Now, are they held accountable for all of those deficits and serving those needs? And does it make them, take things a little bit higher and make them in a way even more responsible? Yes, but why wouldn't they want to, right? So evaluations are the stepping stone. They're a must. They are what is called objective data, where it is non-biased, non-opinionated, and solid data if done right, which is where an IEE would come in if you feel in any way that it isn't done right, and it is your right to request an IEE. If you want to go on the outside and get a separate evaluation if you feel the school district has not done an appropriate one. And I've done both. But let me explain. One, evaluations are objective data. All right. Do I like to see benchmarks? Sure. I'll see benchmarks. Do I care much about benchmarks? No way. All right. Benchmarks are irrelevant pretty much in my opinion. Again, my opinion. All right. Or you could say expertise in over a decade, almost 2 now. Why? Because we don't know, all right, if things were repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated, and then bam, stick the child on the computer and let them take the test. What is that? Memorization. They screwed up on my own daughters years ago, and it put at the top, it said second time taking assessment. Well, this assessment couldn't be given within the time frame in which they gave it. So they went against the test protocols and rules, gave it to my daughter a second time so that she could score higher, and then provide that to me, failing to remember or see that they had put at the top that it was the second time she took it. I already had the first one. I compared the dates. They were too close together in regards to that assessment. They couldn't be given that close together, and so they got caught. So do I like to see them? Sure. Do I like to hear the teacher? I think that, and it's true, that benchmarks are more for the teacher. It helps the teacher in order to help them teach better, to figure out what maybe they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But are they going to help me in creating present levels? Not so much. Would I consider some of them? Sure. But I'm more considering what the teacher has to say in working with the child, what the teacher has to say in the data that she hopefully gives me or he, in regards to, schoolwork, written work, any videos that they may have taken if the parent has approved of that, and that sort of thing. So I listen to every word that is said by those who work directly with the student. In doing that, I do really look at and see and hear what they're saying, what their body language is saying, which says a whole lot more than their mouth, and what I'm feeling in hearing their response. After as long as I've done this, if someone's bullshitting you, all right? And it's very clear. You get a lot of the ums and ahs and, they're not getting to the point. If you know that child and you know how they're doing it, you just talk. It just comes out, it flows. If you don't know that child, then you're like, come on, let's, how's the child doing? And so you get a good idea, believe it or not, by following their body language, by following their tone and the way in which they're talking to me. Are they offended that I ask them certain questions? Hi, Michelle. How are you? Florida. I can't wait. I'm moving to Florida in the next 2 years, hopefully, Sarasota area. So 6-year-old little boy. Awesome. So it's really important to really look at that. Okay. And it creates area for me to ask more questions, to dig deeper, to gain more knowledge. In my course, Rock the IEP, I teach parents how to ask questions and not make comments and just kind of blanketed statements. You always want to answer with a question. All right. So you're answering, but you're answering with a question so that they then have to respond. The more you get somebody to talk, the more things you learn. And that could be good, that could be bad, that could be whatever. But, the more information you get, the more educated you are in everything that is going on, and can hopefully start putting, puzzle pieces together and those spaces together, if that makes sense. Okay. So in talking about the evaluations, we covered what are the most appropriate assessments and evaluations for your child. Well, we talked about, you have your speech therapy assessments, we have your occupational therapy, physical therapy, you have your cognitive and intelligent assessments, you have your verbal intelligent assessments, nonverbal intelligence assessments, receptive verbal language assessments. You have your, of course, academic assessments, expressive verbal language, receptive nonverbal language, expressive nonverbal language, auditory. You have all types of, you have your sensory profile. You have so many different evaluations. I got my notes here, y'all. You want your child academically, you want reading skills, you want fluency, you want comprehension, you want, written expression. If they can't comprehend, they're not going to be able to write. You want the reading composite. That's really important. And that's your letter and word recognition, which is your baseline. All right. If your child doesn't know the alphabet and the alphabetic equation area, then they're not going to be able to read. All right. And they have to go from that to word recognition and letter recognition, of course, upper and lowercase letters. And then, able to lead into the comprehension and vocabulary and no pictures, and then move into obviously comprehension. You have your math composite, your listening composite, you have oral expression. So you have so many different assessments. I've said that I love the KTEA and the YAT4 mixed together. I just think that, the KTEA is so comprehensive and it really gives you a good picture. And, if your child has dyslexia or is suspected to have dyslexia, they have a dyslexia index. So does the YAT4. And the subtests that are given and are new within YAT4 is kind of an outline for that. So that is an amazing thing. I love, love, love that. One of the things that is important to remember is, when an assessment is requested. So if you, for example, ask for the KTEA and they say, oh, okay, we'll do this. All right. So that could be one portion of the KTEA, but if you don't do the whole thing, you're not getting a full picture. All right. So they may say, oh, we'll do subtest X, right? Well, that's not the whole picture. You need to say, no, I don't want that. I want the whole picture. I want everything done. All right. I even will say, if there's something you're unable to do, then document that. All right. So even though the land is open to them, if you will, and they're able to pick and choose what it is they want to do, we need to be mindful that, one, most of the evaluators don't know your child at all. Two, what makes them experts in the evaluation? Because they're expert in their field. They're not an expert in that evaluation. Because in all honesty, the evaluations come with step-by-step directions. All right. So anybody honestly could do it. So, which is why parents, if you're provided, which you're allowed. Okay. So say you wanted the KTEA, you wanted the whole thing, you wanted to see it. Then your child could no longer be given the KTEA because that would, kind of be an impact to, it could be you studied with them, you whatever. Okay. But in regards to going over the evaluation, seeing it in reviewing it, say like on a Zoom or in person, that absolutely can be done, and it is not a copyright. Okay. So that is very, very important. So the KTA3 dyslexia index is, it's comprehensive, and I call it a chameleon in the school divisions, if you will. And it's really good. And that put together with the YAT4 are amazing. And, the KTA has a brief form and for the dyslexia and the SLD screening. All right, specific learning disability, which is where dyslexia falls under. Okay. So they have the composite structures of dyslexia index scores, which is really good. Phonological processing, which you also have letter naming and facility. You have letter and word recognition. Those are very important. All right. The academic skill battery, you want to cover that reading, the writing, the math, the sound and symbol. You want decoding. You want reading fluency, reading understanding, oral fluency, comprehension. I could go on and on and on. Okay. These are very important. It's super important to understand that all of these areas can be evaluated. And it's important to know that even if your child is young and say they're a kindergartner, all right, that is okay. Because guess what it's going to give you? It's going to give you a baseline. So you will know where your child is. So you can, basically every 4 months, I tell parents to evaluate that data. All right. So every 4 months, if you have a baseline, evaluate that data. How much progress has been made? Not from what is said to you, but what you actually can tangibly hold in your hand and see. And so that's really, really important is, being able to track that data. And so many of us, including myself years ago, did not do that. I did not know any better. Okay. And I wish I did. So, that is a very important aspect to remember. So that is, I'm kind of recapping why assessments and evaluations are so essential is they're going to give you, if not where your child's making progress, what the present levels are. But if they're youngins, all right, the littles, the kindergarten, first grade, etc., then you're going to get a baseline, which is what you have to have in order to monitor progress. It's much more difficult to have a baseline once they're third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade than to have a baseline in kindergarten and first grade. So don't disregard. I can't tell you, I worked with more parents with kindergartners last year than I ever have. And I loved it because I was able to really hone in on that baseline, figure it out, get accurate present levels written out, even though, boy, was it a fight. They wanted to fight me on the fact that I wanted to put 90% of what they had in regards to needs into the present levels. Hey, it was their evaluation, their words, and I was summing it up in regards to where the deficit lied so that I could then move that into services and accommodations and the different types of goals that we want for that child. Okay. So we have to know those deficits. Yeah, we want to know the strengths, but we really want to know the deficits so that we can create appropriate goals that are individualized for your specific child that are challenging enough that are going to challenge them. Some of them, I will even say it is within our understanding that more than likely they're going to have to repeat some of this next year. They may not 100% get this, but that's okay. Some things will repeat that way. Okay. Some things build off one another, and that's okay too. But then there's some things we expect them to accomplish and finish and be done with right then and there. Right. So that's important to remember. So in recapping some more, your appropriate assessments and evaluations for your child. Hands down, guys, I say everything, cognitive, the academic, everything that I just went through. Because you know what? Even if, say, they didn't have 4, different assessments, but they had 2 of them, let's just say a psychological and a speech, okay? And that one was a year and a half ago or a year ago. But then, the others were like 2-3 years ago, okay? So what? Every year you can ask for a reevaluation. So why not get it all again? All right. Even from the ones that are after just a year, year and a half. And because what better time to compare? All right. You never can assess too much. If you at minimum wait a year, there's no assessing too much. Now, what I will say is you want to be smart, or the evaluator wants to be smart about how they evaluate. One thing that I've found that isn't done is if the child's having a not so great day and that's the day you're pulling them to do an evaluation, you need to stop right then and there and come back another day. Many times that's not done. Another thing is if we're getting a whole gamut of evaluations, make sure that you respect the fact that that school district has 60 days in which to conduct those evaluations and then meet with you again, because you don't want your child in 1 week doing every evaluation. It's too much. I wouldn't want to do that, right? So you want them spread out. You want it to be a healthy, flow, if you will, even once a week. So don't think, I've heard parents say, well, I don't want them just, overwhelmed. They don't do well with assessments and I'm just worried. And well, that's when I say, well, easy. We'll do one assessment a week. We'll do a psychological 1 week. We'll do a speech therapy another week, an OT another. So there's no overwhelm for that child. There's no, frustration in regards to that child being overwhelmed. But I'll tell you, many times that is what is done. They back it, and then it's too much. And then parents are thinking that it's the evaluation's fault when it's really the evaluator's fault. All right. They as a team need to sit down and discuss, okay, I'm going to evaluate on this date, and I'm going to evaluate on this date, and I'm going to evaluate on this date. But how many times have we all figured out that somehow, some way on their end, there's a disconnect in communication, right? All right. We say something to the teacher doesn't tell so-and-so, or we say something to the principal, the principal doesn't tell the teacher. And we're just like, what the heck? Do I just gotta, tell everybody? What do I gotta do? That's why I say, send an email, send it to everybody, send it to the director of special education, send it to, a coordinator, send it to the assistant director of special ed, send it to the principal, send it to the assistant principal, send it to the teacher, OT, speech, everybody. Keep everybody on your email list. There's no disconnect. All right. And there's no telephone. I hate telephone. I hated that damn game. Oh my God, did I hate that damn game? I never got it right, ever. All right. And I was always the one in the middle or in the end. So I always said it at the end, all jack the heck up, because I never could get it. So it's crazy when you're playing telephone. I told you X, you tell someone Z, and they tell Z, the other person A, and it's like, oh my God, this is a mess. All right. So I always keep everybody in the loop. Don't just email, OT in regards to OT all the time, unless it's something specific, you're answering a question, et cetera, et cetera. But if it's in regards to the IEP, and not just, you and the speech therapist or you and the OT or PT are just kind of discussing things back and forth of, probabilities of what can work, what not can work, playing with that, and that kind of specific stuff. And it has to do with an IEP meeting, an IEP coming up, data, goals, et cetera, you email everybody. All right. Because then nobody can say it wasn't said to me. Nobody can say, well, she didn't tell me. They didn't tell me. The OT didn't tell me. They didn't tell me. We didn't know about it. There's none of that going on because you emailed everybody. Everybody in the pot knows where you came from. And I've found, because words get twisted, words get, just the other day it happened to me in regards to my daughter's transportation. And it was, oh, well, you said, da, 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 da. I said, no, you want to bet? Because I got it on recording. You want to re-listen? Because that's not what I said. Because it was in person. So I record everything. So that's not what I said. So let's listen to it again. Oh, well, there's no need to do that. Yeah, I bet there's not. Because I didn't say that. All right. And I'm going to tell you this one time. At all times, cover your ass. All times. Because you never know when the tables are going to turn. If everything's great, keep it great. But that doesn't mean you don't cover your ass. Cover your ass at all times. That's one thing, my mother was, has always been in law. And, that's one thing she always taught me is cover your ass. Keep it in writing. Have a paper trail. Okay? Because things can always change. It's kind of like, a relationship with people with money or whatever, you have this great relationship, then it comes down to money and then you're fighting and you hate each other and the relationship's over. When you had a great relationship other than that one entity, one thing, right? And so The same thing with schools. You know, you have this conversation, you have everything going great, everything's going awesome, you know, you have this great communication, and then it comes down to, oh, all of a sudden you become an advocate for your child. All of a sudden you're questioning things. All of a sudden you're asking questions that they don't want to answer, and bam, it all changes for you. Complete 180. All right? I can guarantee you it happens all the time. All right? I had a lady on TikTok the other day. One of them had said, her exact words were, gosh, every time I listen to you, I can't believe it, because my situation has been wonderful, and we have a great director of special education. And I had just responded and said, that's awesome. You're so lucky. You know what I mean? And but there was another lady that responded, and she was a teacher, and she had said, yeah, but you know what? She's being dead honest with you in regards to things that most of the time happen. And that was from a teacher, directly from her mouth. And, you know, and that's what I try to do. The situations that are good, oh my God, keep them good, you know, and feel blessed, truly feel blessed. But I can tell you and guarantee you that for the most part, it is not like that. All right. Things are twisted, and, you know, there's just this slimy way of things being done. And, you know, I work with parents and I tell them that, and these are parents that are like, I just can't see them doing that. I just can't see them, you know, purposefully, you know, maybe it was, you know, we all want to give people, give me a second, Elizabeth and Aaron, that chance, that ability to, you know, rectify, or, you know, not have a bad outlook, or just all of a sudden assume that it was, you know, because of a bad intention. And mind you, normally that is the way I would go. You know, you think about it when, you know, you may have been lied to about things, but you know, the person, you know, didn't lie to you, you know, with ill intentions, but it still was wrong, right? But it wasn't with ill intentions. It was just because they were humiliated or embarrassed or whatever the case may be, right? So, you know, even though that's more forgivable, it still makes the situation wrong, right? And it's important to be mindful of the things that, you know, matter in keeping relationships together, and that's some of the things that they are not mindful of. You know, they're so, because your child is just one of thousands, and that's where you hear the words kind of, they get swept under the rug, or, you know, they're just forgotten about, or whatever the case is, because there's so many different things going on that it's not looked at until you point it in and put it in their face, right? So just remember those things. I always say, you know, I'm a negative ninny, and then I've had to get used to the fact that, you know what, I'm okay with that. I'm okay if I'm the most hated IEP advocate ever on the face of the earth. Bottom line, I'm damn good at what I do. And in the end, I get the children what they need, period. That's all I care about. That is it. Okay. And, you know, that's one thing that nobody can say in reference to me, is that I don't get it done for the child. It's always about the child. Always. You know, and school districts look at things, and I'm saying this with so much love and respect for school districts and teachers and all the hard work that they do. And teachers are just the kind of piece, if you will, in regards to, you know, really the whole picture. It is, there's so many things that happen and that are said for them to do or not do. You know, I was just in a meeting 2 days ago, and the teacher went from talking a lot the last meeting to barely talking, other than when I spoke with her. You know, it goes back to that question that I asked to multiple teachers with thousands, I couldn't read them all, responses, where the teacher, and this is SPED teachers, where they said, because I said, my question was this. My question was, yes, go ahead, ask questions, absolutely. My question was this. It was, are you guys told by the school districts to not talk in IEP meetings? So I kind of like percentage it. So I said like 70%, 75% said yes. We are told less is more. I mean, you're the parent, and think about it. Yes, Carmel, go ahead, ask as many questions as you want. And Elizabeth, I'm going to respond to yours in a second. Can you think about that? You're the parent, and they're being told less is more. We're going to tell you as little as possible. And I say to teachers, here's my question back to you, teachers and directors and administrators and service providers. If you're told less is more, and if you're a parent yourself, what are your real true feelings on that? And what is more important to you? Is it less is more and feel that that's what a parent deserves, less is more? Or does your gut, your ethics, and just plain old doing what's right supersede that? I'm just curious, because so many teachers, unfortunately, stop talking, which means that you could have this amazing, awesome, rockin' teacher who your child loves and gets along with. Then they're told not to talk in an IEP meeting. And then they actually do it and not talk in the next IEP meeting unless you're asking them a direct question. So what does that tell you as a parent? That your child comes first, or that they're going to listen to administration and stop talking? A parent was called the other day. I spoke with her yesterday because she needs to sign the consent form. I always look at it first because, we have to go through it. A lot of times I, make the comments, and we send it back to them, signed by the parent. And she said that the teacher had called her just to say, hey, are you going to sign the consent form today? That's a red flag, just to FYI, if you're given a call when a consent form's sent out to see if you're going to sign it that day. That's a red flag. Okay, why are you calling me? You just sent it. You literally just sent it 2 hours ago. Why are you calling me to see if I'm going to sign it today? It doesn't matter if I sign it tomorrow. Is that going to change, when you do the evaluation because you plan on starting tomorrow? More likely not. Okay, so in this process, a tip that I can give you, I should make a post on this on a template, is with IEP, special education, special needs children, you not only have to cover your butt always, but you always have to really think in a way that you may not be used to. You have to think in a way of read into what they said, analyze it. That doesn't mean react to everything they say. What I'm saying is read into it. What was meant by that? And if you have questions, ask. But, read into what was really said. What did that borderline? What was meant by that? I mean, I can't tell you how many times things were said to me and my head popped up thinking, what? Like, why didn't you tell me this? Why am I just now finding this out? Goes back to, I laugh now, but it's not funny. I was in a IEP meeting in Texas. I'm not going to tell you where, but let's just say the largest school district. And the attorney's always in the meetings that I'm in. Totally respect her. She's good at doing her job, but boy, have we gone at it. But at the same time, things are done pretty shady. They're real good at solving their issues in-house because they have attorneys in-house. A lot of the big school districts do. The biggest school districts do. Instead of contract out. And so they settle things. So it's not out there, due process is public. And so they settle. And it's important to be mindful that, things are said all the time that are just so shady. You know, a teacher literally called out the school team. She was new. The child was going into middle school and she was new. And she said, while we were on break, thinking mom and I couldn't hear, you guys realize that you failed this child and haven't provided this child FAPE. You realize that, right? And mom and I just stopped talking because we had taken a break. She's Spanish, so I wanted to be able to explain to her in detail something. And so we had taken a break and they were sitting there talking and she had said that on record. And, you know, things are said like that all the time. And, you know, teachers are told all the time. Service providers are told all the time. Less is more. Put this on the documentation. You know, my daughter, who's a teacher, has said straight up, teachers can't do it all. Yeah, of course, they just throw information on documents. Came right out of her mouth. You know? Did I argue that with her? Oh, yeah. But, I mean, it's shocking, but it's not shocking anymore. It's just not, because it happens all the time. So the more questions you ask, the more you dig, the more you look at things in just a different light, not, you know, giving someone the benefit of the doubt, not giving someone, you know, those props and just not blaming, not saying anything yet, but really analyzing the situation. And if there's more questions, you dig deep, because if you think something's going on wrong, more than likely your gut is right. Okay. All right. Let me answer some questions before I move on to the assessment piece and going more in depth. So don't forget, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. You guys know what to do. Totally forgot to introduce myself. My name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks IEP, and I help parents like you get to become the CEO of your IEP meetings. You are going to become the CEO of your IEP meetings if it's the last thing I do. Okay. My membership, yes, it's coming out more than likely the end of next week. I'm super excited about it. I'm going through all the PDFs and all the documents now that you guys are going to be provided for free, of emails that I give out, of emails of argument, of course, names taken out, but just giving you, and I put blanks there, you know, of giving you information of how to do things. I'm going to be adding stuff all the time. Okay. Now, do you get every single one of my documents? No, but you get a lot of them and a lot of things that you can use literally right now. And all other documents, membership people get 50% off of all the other documents. They're my products on my website on autismmamaRocks.ep. So with that said, let's answer some questions. So Michelle says hi from Florida. She has a 6-year-old boy. Make sure you tell me where you're from. Elizabeth says, I had my son's IEP meeting yesterday because school starts Monday. Then I was told it wasn't a formal IEP meeting. There's no such thing. Okay. If everybody's there, all the team members are there, it's an IEP meeting. All right. They've told me that so many times, and I'm just like, y'all need to read up on the law for real. Okay. Because, oh, Elizabeth, I'm right up the street from you. So it's crazy. Okay. It's crazy. That's where my husband works. So it's crazy. Okay. It's crazy. All right. An IEP meeting is an IEP meeting is an IEP meeting is an IEP meeting. Just like this is a piece of paper. This is a piece of paper. This is a piece of paper. It's not going to change from being a piece of paper. Okay. If the teacher, the special education teacher, an LEA, that can be principal, that can be assistant principal, that can be director of special education, whoever, it has to be a decision maker. And you, as long as the 4 of you are there, it is a formal IEP meeting. Now that IEP meeting, formal IEP meeting, could be specific to, which this goes on the notice of meeting or meeting invitation. All right. Which is why if you go back and listen to some of my videos, I speak about meeting invitations. All right. And why meeting invitations are so important. And you better freaking read them, because what is in them is what you're talking about in that meeting. And if it's not on that invitation, they can say, no, we're not talking about that today. And you could have in your head, you're talking about this and this and this and this. And they say, no, we're not talking about that today. That's not on the meeting notice. Okay. So as long as those 4 people are there, it is a formal IEP meeting. Now that IEP meeting may be designated to discussing eligibility, or that IEP meeting could be designated to talk about the annual. It could be the annual required IEP. That is what they call formal, right? But every IEP meeting, if you requested an IEP meeting every month, every damn one would be a formal IEP meeting. That's why I say do nothing outside of an IEP meeting. Nothing. Stop talking on the phone. And what is that thing called? Do you have it, Kim? What's it called? Or Aaron? Where, what's that thing called? Where you like write on their iPad thing. They don't have that here in Virginia. Most of the time. Well, some of them do. Some of them do. My Williamsburg parent does. What is it called? Dojo or something? Y'all have to, class dojo. Is that what y'all call it? That's okay, but you want to make sure that's printable, that you can get proof of that you can get into it. All right. You have to get into it. You have to be able to get into it. All right. To print it out, whatever. All right. It cannot be where the only way you can get proof is by taking a screenshot. All right. If they can get into it, this dojo, you should be able to get into it. And you need to make sure, ask them in writing, is there any way possible that you are able to delete in full my child's documentation and communication from the school's dojo? If the answer is yeah, you're asking this, and tell them on record, in email, I want to know if you have the ability. Don't say you as in teacher. Say, does the school district have the ability to delete everything on my child's dojo? If the answer is yes, or they don't answer you, you go up to the superintendent. I don't care who you have to go to. I don't care if you walk into the freaking administration office. You sit there until you get that answer and record it. All right. Yes. All right. If not, it goes in email. Don't write me on dojo. I don't want it. And you're allowed to say that. There's no rule, regulation, law, policy, nothing that says only communication through class dojo or teacher dojo, whatever the hell it's called. Okay? You got to realize that just because they have a way of doing things does not mean you have to adhere to that. They're not your boss. Why do you guys listen to them like they're your boss? They're not your boss. You're actually their boss. All right? Because your child. You get to make the decisions. Hands down. Now, like I said, you can't say, oh, do this assessment. But what you can say is, guess what? If I'm going to respect the fact that you want to do XYZ assessments, as an equal team member, you need to respect the fact that I want XYZ assessments. And guess what? I know that child way better than you. So you would think that as an expert, you would take my thoughts, my opinions, my ideas into 100% full-blown consideration, because I know my child better than you or anybody else in this world. So why wouldn't you, as the expert, take my opinion, my ideas, and the requests that I make in regards to the evaluations that legally, I understand, IDEA says that you get to make the choice, but you would think that you would make the choice to choose me and my thoughts, opinions, and ideas, along with I am making the choice to respect the fact that you want to do X, Y, Z. And then we have mutual respect for each other. We're completing that collaboration process and that working together as a team. We're respecting one another. okay? Because there's law and there's black and white and there's gray. And guess what? We're all in the damn gray. We all live in the gray. There's nothing really concrete that's black and white. Even with judges, you know, and how they rule, it is typically in accordance to the law, obviously, but they're human beings. They do rule in what just can happen in life. That's normal. That's a good thing that they have a heart and they have a soul that they can rule in regards to, yeah, this is the law, but, you know, this is a different circumstance. This is things that happen different, you know, that has to be taken into consideration. You know, and that's where being a human being comes into play. And so that's what has to be explained to them. That's what I argue. Okay. Because if you don't, then it's, oh, we get to make the decision. You guys don't get to do that. If you don't like it, we have, you know, dispute resolution. You damn right you do. And guess what? Go ahead. This is what I tell them. Never have I not gotten the evaluations that I wanted. Not ever. Ever. Not ever. And I'll tell you why. All right? Because this is what I say to them. I said, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. All right? I ain't that parent that's going to back down. So not only am I a parent that's been through this mess, I'm an advocate now and have been doing this for 15 plus years. So you're not able to pull this shit with me. All right, that's one. Two, I say we can get along, which is what I want to do. I want to collaborate with you. I want to get along. I want to work together in the interest of this child. That is what I want. I want you to know that. However, if you want to fight me every freaking step of the way, I'm a fighter. So I can do that. Do I want to do that? No. But will I do that? 500%. Will I sit back and just let things go when it comes to a child and let you just do what you want because you feel like it? Hell no. Won't happen. Ever. That is not that kind of advocate I am. I will not sit back and allow a school district to use and abuse parents. And the fact that they may not have the knowledge at the moment until I get a hold of them that this can or cannot happen, or abuse the child's rights, or abuse the fact that parents are equal team members. And even though IDEA states that it is in, you know, up to the expert in regards to what evaluations are provided or whatever, but it still says a collaborative process. All right. And I tell them, here's what I say. I've said this to you guys many times. I'm going to say it again. Y'all can do whatever you want. These are the ones I'm requesting. And I put it on the consent. So if they send the consent and they check off cognitive, academic, you know, reading, or not reading, academic is under reading, but, you know, I'll say dyslexia, OT, speech, whatever, right? Then I upload it into Adobe Acrobat. I put my notes. I say, as discussed in the IEP meeting on such and such date, if we agreed to the WIAT 4, KTEA 3, DOS 2, WISC 5, blah, 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 blah. That's what I'll say. If we didn't agree on specific evaluations, I will state, while we do not agree to the assessments mentioned in the IEP meeting on such and such date, we understand that in accordance to IDEA, and I state the law, it is in your hands in regards to what evaluations that you do. However, in no way do I see you as the only expert in my child, because you have never met my child, if that's the case. Okay, if it's a psychologist, never met your child, etc. Because most of the time they haven't. Make sure you ask that on record. So I make sure all of that is in there. Why? Because this becomes part of your child's record. You want that in writing, 100%. Because then, here's the key. Then, in in the meeting, I've already said, you guys do whatever you want. If you don't want to do what I want done, and then you put in the PWN, that any other evaluation deemed appropriate by the evaluator. I don't want you to not do the evaluations you want to do. I want you to. I actually want us to have different opinions on the evaluations so we get the whole picture. Why can't you be open to that? And then I'll also say, so go ahead, be nasty, do the evaluations you want. And this has rarely ever been, an occurrence, but I will say, and when it comes back, we'll listen to you. We will hear you out. And unless it's so damn good, I haven't seen anything ever like it, we will be asking for an IEE, because now you've failed this child because you're not the only expert. And you failed this child because you didn't include me at all. You shut me down in what my requests were. On top of that, you've lost all my respect and trust. So 100%, I will be asking for an IEE. So go ahead. Do the evaluations you want. I'll listen. I'll sit back. It's not in the interest of my child. And remember, this is on recording. It is not in the interest of the child because you're failing to consider all areas that are needing to be recommended for evaluation and all areas in which the child should be evaluated that is not based on what is straight up in your face. Because guess what? Many times with healthcare, with education, all those things right there in your face, right there, hey, here I am, here's my hand. A lot of times it is not what is in your face that is the problem. It is something more. So all the evaluations the school district is offering to do is based on what's in their face, and they don't look even deeper to figure out how they can solve problems because they're just looking at the surface level. All right, so that's what I say. And guess what? Even though they may not, this has happened a couple times, even though they may not say anything, and I put my stuff in, the comment and the consent form, like I said, even though they may not say anything, because this is where I was going with this, even though I talked like for half hour on this one thing, is they are listening to me. And you and I both know they don't want to spend money on an IE. They sure don't. No. Do I have school districts who have pushed that button? Sure. But if I were to percentage it, I'm a percentage person. Okay, a numbers person. I look at data. All right. I would say 90%. 90% of school districts will do exactly what I want, along with what they want, which I want them to do. I respect what they are asking for. They need to respect what I'm asking for on behalf of the parent and the student that the parent and I have already discussed. So it's not a disrespect. It's a respect. I respect you. You respect me. It goes both ways. Because if you think that I'm going to respect you, if you don't respect me, you got another thing coming. That's not how I work. That's not in my DNA. It's just not. I try and it's not going to happen. It's not. So if you're I'm going to talk to my passive people, my quiet people out there. If there's a time to get loud, what's that song from Jennifer Lopez? Let's get loud. Let's get loud. Yeah. I'm going to play it for y'all, right? Isn't that how it goes? All right. That's the only time you need to get loud is when it comes to your child. All right. I've heard parents say that they're the quietest people ever. And you're like, yeah, right. You wouldn't do that. But they're like, the only thing that will set me off is if you screw with my child. Screw with me all you want. I'm the same way, but I'm loud. But I mean, you can screw with me all you want. You can say whatever you want to me. Sure, it might hurt my feelings, but I'm going to get over it. I'm an adult. I'm a big girl. But, and I definitely can't sit and live my life, worried about everybody and their mother's feelings about me. Obviously I haven't changed as an advocate and being, super passionate about fighting for kids with special needs and not putting up with the school's bullshit, instead of talking to you about how everything's all about collaboration and we're always going to get along, because you and I both know that's not how it goes. You got to play hardball before you start getting along. That's just how it works. It's like mediation. Push, 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 hitting the wall, hitting the wall, hitting the wall, hitting the wall, hitting the wall. And finally you break through that damn wall. Finally. Months later. Right? That's how it works. That's reality. You know, I'm not going to be that advocate that talks to parents and says, you know, oh yeah, it's, you know, super easy. You know, we just get along. I'm all about collaboration, which I am about collaboration, but I know damn well that's not what happens initially. That comes after they figure out I ain't giving up. That I know the laws when it comes to special education. Most of the time, better than them. Most of the time, I'm correcting them, just like I corrected that lawyer the other day. Do I fault the lawyer for not knowing that she should have provided me documents before the IEP meeting 3 days in advance in accordance to the law of that state? No, I don't fault her. Because guess what? None of us know everything. But did I have to correct her? Yes. Why? Because I know the law. I study it all the time. And it's what I do every day. Lawyers don't do IEPs every day. So do I fault her for it? Do I think she's a bad lawyer because of it? Absolutely not. I'm not a judgmental person anyway. But when it comes to, you know, correction and making sure that things are what it should be. And here's the crazy thing is I texted an attorney at a top school district, one of the largest in the United States, yesterday. And I asked a question to her because I needed to know. I didn't know. But what do? I'm the type of person, if I don't know something, I'm going to find out. I'll tell you that. And I know how to fight it automatically because I'm aware of how to do things like that. So all my passive, quiet mamas and dads out there, if there's any time for you to get loud, all right, go listen to that song from Jennifer Lopez. You can like her or not like her, but it's a cool song. That's the time to get loud. All right. That's the time to fight. Not fight. Fight. All right. And get it done for your child, for their education, for their rights, for your rights. All right. Okay. So here we go. You had your child's IEP. So I talked to you about formal IEPs. Everything's a formal IEP. Not everyone was on screen like they should have been. 100%. You should have stopped the meeting. Hello. I need to see everybody on the screen. So y'all need to move closer together. That's what I say. All right, Elizabeth, come on, close it in. All right. So I'll wait here till y'all can do that. Sometimes they'll say, oh, we're trying. It's like tight. Go to a different room. I need to be able to see everybody within that room as if I was there. So y'all need to figure it out. They are trying to get my son to a school 30 minutes away because his alternate school, where's he at? Where 30 minutes up? What school? Tell me what school. If you don't want to say it on here, message me real quick. I probably know it. They screwed me with ESY and lied, of course. Feel like I was gaslighted yesterday during a Zoom call. Give me a call, Elizabeth. I'm literally right up the street from you. Carmel. Hello. Is it Carmel? Am I saying that right? I have a who has a son. I'm thinking I have a son who has an IEP. He is in 5th grade. He is really miserable at school. And I told them that I want to stop the speech and social because he does them outside. They said, no, don't say that, Carmel. Message me. Don't say that. My son wants to stay in class like his peers. He wants to be independent, work alone. That's great. But the school pushes the aid, the whole, what? Do you know where do you live? Do you know how many people want what you have? Where do you live, Carmel? We all need to move there. I don't know your whole situation, but what I will say is he's in 5th grade. You know, if he's higher functioning and I don't know what the disability is, but you know, by all means, you know, he should have a voice. I'm not sure if he's in gen ed and he doesn't have behavior problems and everything's kind of status quo, other than he may be behind or something. I mean, I don't know the situation, hon, so I can't really respond. I don't know what his needs are, but I can say that, people fight for one-to-ones. But if he doesn't need a one-to-one, I'm not a fan, because it's a glorified babysitter. And if a child doesn't need it, then we shouldn't be providing a glorified babysitter to them that other child could need. And on top of that, we want our children to be as independent as possible. So a lot of times when I talk about one-to-ones, it's specific to certain areas. So for example, reading and math, or things like that. But that doesn't mean if a child has safety and behavior issues that you don't have a one-on-one. There's certain reasons of at 100% they need a one-on-one all day or at all times. If they're they physically escape, not just escape from classwork. So there are reasons, 100%. But if those reasons aren't really in play and it's more so academically, like reading and math, etc., then I just say, let's do it for this period of time or during this time, because we want our kids independent. We want to encourage that. We want to support that. And if it ever becomes a situation where we want to, they need more support, then we discuss that in a formal IEP meeting at that time. The school said, we don't have the right to stop the services because he didn't master the goals yet. Is this true? Well, you have the right to stop special education, period, or take away the IEP. I'd rather talk to you before you do any of that, Carmel. Or no, that's, yeah. Message me, because you're, I need to understand better what it is that you're, because it sounds like you're wanting him to be in a typical classroom and let him do his thing. So, I mean, if you're wanting to take away services and those kind of things, then does he need an IEP? I guess would be my question. All right, Elizabeth, first time. Welcome. I'm in Richmond. All right, hello, Kim. All right, Elizabeth says, they said they'd take notes of my Oh my God, that's something that drives me nuts. We'll take notes. We'll note your thoughts. Well, okay. How do you feel? Okay. We'll note that. I have a finger here I really want to show you. Literally. When they say that, literally, that's what I want to do. Literally, that's what I want to do. F off. Take your notes. I mean, this is what I've said. Take your notes all you want. I don't give a crap. But we're going to solve the problem. This is a problem. We're not taking notes on it because that doesn't solve the problem. We're going to solve the problem. I don't give a crap about your notes. I don't care what you write. I don't care what you want to put on paper. I don't care about your notes. I mean, in Texas, they read meeting notes after the meeting. I tell them, don't read it. Don't read it. I don't care. I don't care what it is that you took notes on, because guess what? We had in Texas, that's where I've had my 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hour IEP meetings. No joke. I kind of like how Texas likes to kick them out like that. I love it. But here's the thing is, what? You got to take notes. Okay, I'll take notes too. Yeah, I'll take notes. And guess what, Elizabeth? You're in Virginia. Hello? Record it all. Every last freaking bit. All right? Say, all right, cool. You take notes, I'll record. Awesome. Deal. Take your notes. I'll record. All right, discussion over. Now, let's solve the problem. We need to be problem solvers. This is children we're talking about. This is education we're talking about. No one gives a shit about what notes you take. What I give a shit about is what you're doing about the problem. That's what I care about. If my child's struggling in school, what are you going to do about it? Tell me. Not, oh, okay, we'll handle it. Let me take notes. No. Oh, and make sure to share this, guys, because if this helps one person out there, then to me, it's worth it. Okay? Post a 1 below if it's your first or third time catching me live. 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure to say hello and tell me where you're from. Oh, and if you're not part of the group, go to Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. If you're on the group and you're making comments and I can't see your picture, make sure you look at the directions on what you need to put in regards to me seeing your picture, because this is a streaming. I'm on StreamYard, so that's kind of how that is. And also follow me on TikTok. I'm having some fun with TikTok. You guys better all follow me. Follow me, follow me, follow me. And make sure you post below if you've shared, and make sure you post below if you're following me on TikTok, and your name will go into the hat that we're actually pulling at the end of the month. I said I would do July and August in August. All right. So all you got to do is say shared, liked your whatever it is on TikTok, and that's it. And so, yeah, that's how I am with them saying taking notes. Take all the notes you want. I don't care. I don't care about your meeting notes. Now, let me say that again. When they say in the meeting, oh, we'll take note of that, or we'll put that in the notes. That's when I say that. That's when I say, I don't care about your damn notes. We need to solve the problem. I mentioned a problem. We need to solve it. Not take notes on it. Now, do they have a right to take notes? Of course. Okay, cool. Take notes. But if it's a problem, we need to solve the problem. Are y'all problem solvers? Ask them. Are y'all problem solvers or note takers? Which one? Are we solving a problem and serving a child's needs, or are we taking notes? Because if you're so good at taking notes, then why don't I have some good data? Throw it back in their face, people. Throw it back, okay? It's like playing ball. Put that ball right there in their lap. Make them accountable for their actions. Cool. Take notes. If you're so good at taking notes, why aren't you so good at taking data? And if you're so good at taking notes, that tells me that you don't give a crap about my child, because you're so busy taking notes. You're not worried about his needs or her needs. You're worried about taking your damn notes, because your notes have solved what? Nothing. 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 Notes solve nothing. Conversation solves things. Communication solves things. Transparency on where that child is solves things, because then people can create a plan of action. That's what resolves discord. That's what resolves problems. That's what resolves frustrations. Communication, straight up communication. It's an easy resolve. They should have, for teachers and administration and everybody else in the school district, part of their learning that they do and the half-ass training that they do, a communication course. I've taken lots of them. They've helped. Sometimes I follow it. I do. But bottom line, that's what needs to happen. You need to be able to be an effective communicator. All right? If you're going to talk, make sure there's a reason for it. Don't just talk to talk when it comes to my child and education. You better talk and mean something and tell me something that I need to know. All right? I want to know facts. I want to know what's happening. I want to know if my child's making progress or not. And I want your transparency with that. Don't bullshit me. Bottom line, what people need to understand is the truth is going to come out sometime. If someone asks you a question, be transparent with your answer. If it's embarrassing, it's embarrassing. But who cares? At least you were honest. At least you keep that, trust going on. Oh, damn. I didn't think she'd answer the question so honest, but she did. That's respect right there. It might not have been a great thing that was the response. I may not be happy with the response. But if the person's transparent about it, what the heck can you say? Nothing. That's where problem resolve comes in. We work together as a team in order to solve the problem. What is the problem? There's a problem going on and we need to resolve it. All children can learn. So where do we need to start in order to solve the problem? Does that mean an evaluation? Does that mean we need to have an FBA because there's behaviors? Does that mean we need to give the child more attention? Does that mean we need to, assign the child, to be like a teacher's helper or whatever the case may be in order to make them feel awesome about themselves? If we have some, mental health issues going on, which is huge today with children, especially teens, we need to pay more and be more mindful to that. And, suicide is on the rise. We need to look at those things. We need to look at all the little things that people don't seem to think about because they get so absorbed in everything else, like taking notes, because no one gives a shit about those notes. Now, as an advocate, do I respond to those notes when they come to me? That's why I don't listen to them when they want to read the meeting notes. Like in Texas, they want to read the meeting. I tell them, do not read me the meeting notes. I'm going to hop off. I don't care about your damn meeting notes, because you and I both know that this whole time, the 3, 4, 5 hours we've been in an IEP meeting, that you did not take my words word for word. So no, I don't give a rat's shit what you wrote. I don't. Now, when I get them in an email of what you wrote, you better be damned I'm going to respond in all the bullshit that's in there, because there's no way you wrote exactly what every person, Sarah, Michelle, Raven, Laura, Kim, Elizabeth, Carmel, you're going to write everything that everybody says, word for word. Bullshit. I couldn't do that, and I'm a smart individual. Parents are smart individuals. More than likely they would say, nah, I don't want that job. All right. We're not, court people that's what they do. If you notice, they very rarely look at you other than to look at who's saying what, and they're typing away. I mean, how they do that, I don't even know. I mean, most of them are really good at it because I've read some of those things, but there's no way in heck I could do that. No way. And we all know the school district, when they write their notes, they're never right. It's exactly what they want it to say. And they make it sound twisted of when you say something. I mean, come on. Your notes don't mean nothing to me. All right? Because I'm going to correct them all. I'm going to take your document. I'm going to I'm going to export that PDF into a doc. And I'm going to respond under each and every paragraph that you write in red. And I'm going to correct every darn thing that you said. So if anybody else wants to take notes in my IEP meeting, it better be word for word. Or if not, don't waste your time. Because I will respond to every last word. And I will correct every last thing. And I will quote it because I've recorded it. And it's going to be on there. I may even clip the recording and send it to you, which I've done. Yep. All right. But won't put my request in the IEP in regards to transportation. All right. So I don't know what you requested, Elizabeth. But if you requested something, then it should be put into the PWN. You need to write them and say, you need to put into the PWN my request, blah, 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 whatever it is, into the PWN from our meeting on such and such date. You also need to put into the PWN that you didn't provide my child with ESY. Mind you, in the PWN, they have to give you a full, complete description and reasoning as to why it was denied or if it was approved. Yeah, I'm about 40 minutes from you. All right. Kim, yes, I believe that's what some of the, Jojo. We normally communicate through text or email, Gmail. Well, email's fine, but stop texting. When she said, who texts, the teacher and you? When she said she is a fighter, believe me, she is. Thanks, Kim. Will not back down when it's right for the child. She's a go-getter. Thank you. That's nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. Last eval was 3 years ago and wasn't completed because my son shuts down if he doesn't know someone. Then in that IEP meeting in kindergarten, they said they saw the autism traits, but they can't diagnose. they can say, okay, say that ADOS was done. They can say that, based on a checkoff list, that he, appears to have traits and so forth in regards to autism, but they can't say a diagnosis. They're not doctors. I've been through so much because I'm roaring now as a mama. That's interesting. I haven't heard a whole lot about Enrico. Chesterfield, I've definitely done. Williamsburg, I'm working in Appomattox right now. Yeah, Enrico. I mean, Chesterfield's not even that bad, but they have some issues. I mean, I've not heard a whole ton. I've worked with Hampton about Enrico. We'll have to talk. Verinia. Son, I'm sorry, my English is not the best. That's okay. Illinois, oh dear God. He is in general class. It drives me nuts too, because on screen in the meeting yesterday, yeah, you cussed on screen. I have cussed in my own IEP meetings years and years ago. But I've, I don't need to. I'm very good with my words. Now, have I said, oh, you're full of crap, or that is such BS, or that is ridiculous, that's ridiculous, things like that, of course. But cussing, no. I'm definitely not attacking somebody personally. If I'm in attack mode, it's attack mode in regards to the child and things that are happening, kind of thing. All right, so see, you're probably from the group, and see how it shows that there's no picture. So whoever said hello from New York, you need to go to that link. Here, I'll post it again so that I can see who you are, because Facebook has rules on their groups and private groups. I'm posting it now in the comments, okay? So if you're on the group and you don't have a picture, you know how everybody has pictures. I just posted it in the comments, but look here how Kim. All right. See how you can see her picture, the picture she has for Facebook, and it has her name, and yours, it just said Facebook user and no picture. That's what I'm referencing, is like it'll show your Facebook picture. It's not like some personal picture. It's your Facebook picture, or your, YouTube, or, the group picture. And then I'm able to see your name and acknowledge, but I just wanted you to see that so that you can go click that stuff in the comments. And I think you just click yes or something. All right. So Elizabeth said, I get told we'll look into it. Insert I will. You give a time frame. How do I get in touch with you on WhatsApp? Here, I'll give you the link. Sorry, I gotta look for it real quick. Here it is. All right. All right. I'm posting my contact information on WhatsApp in the comments. Worst case, you can message me on Facebook, and I will help you, walk you through it. But literally all you do, did I copy it? Hold on. I don't think I copied the right one. Now let's see if it posts. Yeah, here we go. All right. I posted it. Oh, yeah, I did do it twice. All right, so it says sign up through Facebook or your email. You choose, but it's super easy and easier than Facebook. Here's my personal link. All right. So that's all you need. All right. That's all you need. All right. All right. All right. I made it easily ready. So if you need, there we go. So let me know if you guys got it or if you need help. I know a couple of you have contacted me. I got your messages. All right. All right. So it is in the comments. That's all you got to click. All right. There you go. It is there. All right. So let's continue. Hi, Dorothy. How are you? Yes. Post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. And make sure you tell me where you are from. I love hearing where people are from. I have finally gone up by 1. I've gone up by 1. I'm at 48 states. Holy hell. All right. So let's finish. All right. So we are. All right. So we're going to talk about bilingual and then what areas. All right. And then we're going to wrap it up tomorrow on who should give your child assessments and evaluations. Okay. So we're going to talk about right now areas your child should be evaluated, which we talked briefly on that. And we're going to talk about bilingual. Okay. So let's talk bilingual real quick. Beaumont, Texas. One of the top states I work in. Precious is number 2 from New Hampshire. Woohoo! All right. I love that green-eyed Scorpio. That's kind of cool. You're welcome, Carmel. All right. So don't forget to share this, guys. All right. So let's talk about just bilingual real quick. All right. There's nothing different other than, all right, nothing different in evaluations for your child if you're bilingual. And English is the child's first language. Other than, okay? Manchester is awesome. I've always wanted to do like a drive up there through like New Hampshire, Vermont, all that in the fall. Is a bilingual evaluator has to be provided to the child. A lot of times states will, the school district will have to contact the state, and then the state assigns a, I guess, contracted evaluator, but each state does things different. But either way, the evaluator has to be bilingual and speak that student's first language. That's number 1. Number 2, the assessment tools that are used, the assessment specifically, obviously needs to be in that child's first language. All right. So if you go back in this series, you'll hear me say, I want to say it's in the first or second series piece. This is the third, where I said like the Welchler's intelligence scale, the WISC-5, that is in the Spanish version. The Stanford Binet is has a Spanish version. The nonverbal ability test and the test of nonverbal intelligence. There is not. So you need to make sure that that assessment, like the BASC 3, obviously that's a questionnaire, but that is obviously can be bilingual. You know, the KTA 3 is not. The Wyatt 4 is not. So the Woodcock Johnson is not. So you need to be mindful if, and then obviously that's just Spanish. So if it's a completely different assessment, then you got to know that, right? You got to know that that assessment can be given in your first language, that child's first language, in order to get accurate results. Hi Samantha, how are you? Awesome, Elizabeth, got it added. Awesome. Cool. I'll message you after my call, but I have to hop on a call, Elizabeth, with a client and go over an IEP that we just got back to make sure it's how I want it. And then we'll talk. Cool. But message me. And Carmel, by all means, you know, you as well, because I know your situation was a little bit complicated. All right. So that is really important. So the bilingual piece. You want to make sure that, and the assessments are called different things. So you need to find out what the assessment that a child whose language is not English as their first language, children who has a different language as their first language. Once a year, they have to be given a certain test, okay? Kind of look at it as, you know, state testing, okay? And it obviously has to be given by a bilingual evaluator, or they have to be available, etc. And this test has to be documented on the IEP every time it's given. And you have a right to see it as well if you want to ask for it. But the main thing is knowing that it's being provided and knowing that it's being provided by, you know, a bilingual evaluator. Okay. It's not a norm-based test or anything like that. It's a test that is given to all children once a year whose first language is not English. Okay. So there's certain things that you got to look at. All right. Now, moving into what areas are my child's areas that really need to be evaluated. And I've touched this and I'm going to touch it one more time. All areas. Okay? All areas. You can't touch an area too much. Obviously, if it's, you can't evaluate more than, you know, once a year anyway. So, you know, if you're evaluating, let's just hypothetically say every 14 to 16 months, which is what I suggest, then you're going to get different information. So I hope, right? I say this, you know, I will start asking for evaluations at that 1 year mark, because that's when you can re-ask for a reevaluation. And honestly, I've never really had a school. I've had school districts give me hard times every once in a while, but never a school district say, nope, we're not evaluating again, because that just looks bad on them. All right. And you don't even need a damn attorney or anything going to due process over that one. That's a piece of cake. All right. If you know what you're doing, you know, like I write motions all the time, you know, when it comes to states that I can, that I'm a qualified evaluator. So for example, I have a letter from a judge in Texas and Florida, you know, because in Florida, you have to be deemed a, what is it called? Certified advocate or something, you know, where the judge calls you and like asks you these random questions to see if you know federal and their state law. That was awkward, but it was fine. I passed with flying colors. Texas, judge asks like various questions that you have to write out, and you have to get that document that is a legal document, literally signed by the judge, that says that you can, go to due process with that client. I don't say represent because I don't represent anybody other than myself. But you can support the parent and argue their case in due process in certain states. Do I go to due process? Nope. I settle, but I settle for what I want. All right. But I will say, okay, hear me. If, because the reason I settle is because it's what the parent wants. The parent's happy with it. Okay. But in mediation, you got to look at it as there's some give and take, but it's kind of goes to show in the same sense of we pick our battles, we can go after it later, right? So if a child is nonverbal and not receiving speech therapy, does that take precedence over, a child who may need, one-to-one walking in the hallway? Yeah. Or, just different things that, kind of like play with it, and you have your hard nose. So I have parents write down all the issues. I write down all the issues. Then I write down what my hard nose would be. And I do it as a parent. But I also do it as an educator, knowing what I will accept and what I won't. And then I compare it to the parents because I have them do it separate. Or we do it over a conversation. And then I'll give my input and then they make a decision. And so my hard no's are their hard no's, obviously, or a hard no of mine along with theirs because they agree and think about it. And then we have a come to Jesus moment with the school, because the hard no's I don't budge on. And I let the school know that. I'm not one, that is afraid of that hardball that schools play in mediation at the very beginning. I don't play that. I'll tell the mediator, who has to relay everything that you say, and you're usually put in different rooms, rooms as in online, breakout rooms. I'll say, you need to go over there and tell them these are our hard no's. So if we need to call it a day, let's do it now so we don't waste each other's time. So you go tell them that. So they know my hard no's from the beginning. Now they try to push through it. They try to push the button a little bit. How do you say it? Push the button, push the door. But like, I don't play with that. No, the hard no's are the hard no's. Everybody's allowed to have a hard no. Now, these are flexible. This is my hard no. Stick with your hard no. Don't be convinced otherwise with a hard no. Stick with your hard no. If you're going to pick a hard no, you better stick with that hard no. You don't move from that. Because if you do, you are done. Done for. If you're going to voice your hard no's, you better not ever give up those hard no's. Ever. All right? Those hard no's better be a damn hard no. Okay? So you better make sure that's a hard no, because you cannot deviate from that. All right? You cannot. If not, you're a joke. How many times have I heard from parents, they don't take me seriously? They don't listen to me. They don't even, worry about what I have to say. They don't listen to my emails. They don't respond to my emails. They don't this. They don't that. You never want them to think that you're a joke. Why do you think attorneys come to my meetings? Not always, but a lot of times. Why? Definitely not because they think I'm a joke. I can tell you that. They definitely don't think I'm a joke. They don't like me from the get-go. And they haven't even met me. They don't even know me at all. They don't like what I request. They don't like having to provide the FERPA and that I ask for everything in the kitchen sink and I know the laws in regards to what they have to provide. I have a check off of if they provided it all. And if they haven't, I make a complaint. I don't even talk to them about it. I just make a complaint. And then the feds are on their ass. I'm not playing games with you. You provide it or you don't. If you don't, I'm reporting it. Done. I'm not going back and forth on, hey, don't forget to send this too. Hey, don't forget to send this. No. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it anymore. You're either going to be transparent and provide the parent the documents, or I just fill out the paper and go. Done. Then no sweat off my back. You'll provide it next time. I can guarantee you that. And you never want to be taken as a joke. And ask yourself this. Do you really care if they like you or not? Think about this. I have two of the children, ages 27 and 22. When they were growing up, did I really care when I hate you, Mom? That's not fair. I hate you. No other parent does that. It's only you, ever. Only you. You're the only parent who does that and grounds them. Come on. Of course, like what, the first time it hurts our feelings and we're like, oh, right? Then I have 3 kids. After the first one, she said that one time. Yeah, I got over it. Hate me. All right? Hate me. You ain't doing that. You ain't going to that party. Hate me. I'm still here. I'm thriving. So are they. Right? Do they like our children? Yeah. That's a hard one. I don't think anybody goes into education because they hate children, because they sure as hell don't pay shit. But now, administration gets paid. I don't understand. The teachers are the one who teaches our kids. The teachers are the ones who, are educating our kids, but they're the ones not provided the things that they need, just the basics that they need in order to teach our kids properly. They're the ones who are treated like shit. They're the ones who are told to shut your mouth. Do not talk at the IEP meeting. You're not allowed to have a voice. Only speak when you're spoken to. No principal or director ever told me that. But then again, I quit back in the day, when the politics started taking over, I was done, but I taught back in the day where we had fun. We got up and we did things that was hands-on. It wasn't sit at a desk and take, the state assessments and you got to pass this, and teachers teach to pass the test so that the school has good ratings. So when you look it up, when you move, it looks so awesome. And guess what? Most of those kids, all right, a lot of their assessments aren't even documented. People don't realize that. All right. Or it's memorize. Bam, take the test. Okay, we got awesome scores. Now we're going to score high. We're an excellent school. We're one of the top schools in the United States. Be careful of that. Remember, it's the C students that usually are the ones that are in charge of the A students. The C students, the average student, if you will, are the ones who are typically the boss of that A student. Statistically. Interesting, isn't it? So, all right. So that goes back to our children. All right. My daughter knows so much stuff that I don't know. I mean, analytical stuff. It's weird. Like she knows stuff and remembers stuff that I'm like, what? Mom, da 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 da. She'll tell me. Skylar, she has autism and dyslexia. And I'm just like, I don't know where you got that from, but it's like factual information. It's like, where did she come up with that? Like my husband and I look at each other a lot and say, like, we're laughing a lot of times of, she has one cuss word that she says that many of you have actually heard because she said it right when I was live many times. But you know what? Come on into my life. Come on in, okay? You know, I deal with the meltdowns too. I deal with the one word, cuss word that she says. And at least it's only one. My son taught it to her, so shame on him. He's 22 now. He's in the military. But back when he was a teenager, he said that one word. And you know how our kiddos with autism, if they pick something up, they will run with that sometimes. And boy, does she run with it. She gets grounded from it, and she still does it when she's mad. She gets mad, and she tries though. She does that, shut up, and then she'll stop. I should make like a TikTok on that. I think I did the other day. I'm not sure. Yeah, but she keeps us laughing because she'll come up with stuff, and I'm like, where did she get that? But anyway, we could all rave about our kiddos, right? They've all taught us something, and that's something to be said because, you know, I would much rather, you know, have a child with character and, you know, who is in depth and caring and, you know, is learning to be caring and, you know, whatever the disability is, you know, they have something to offer all of us, and we have something to learn from them. And so I think when educators, I'm not specifying teachers, I'm talking about just anybody in the educational system, really focus on that and that everybody has the ability. Some can go farther than others. So what? And get away from like the politics and get away from, granted, we have bosses, all right? Like the principal's the boss of teachers, but don't you ever tell me to lie to a parent in regards to their child. Not going to happen. So teachers, y'all need to think about that. And service providers, you know, don't let somebody dictate what your character becomes. Because you could have made that mistake in the past. You could have done whatever in the past. But as long as you're not doing it now and you change it, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. All right. So, all right. So I will talk to you guys soon. Hopefully you gained a lot of information in regards to this. I know we deviated from just evaluations and there was more in-depth talk. But I always think that is good. If you're catching the replay, make sure you watch this like in 15-minute, 20-minute increments or while you're making dinner or something. And take it step by step. That is fine because I know that they're long. This is super long today. Oh my God. And then we will wrap this up tomorrow with who should be giving assessments. It's going to be who is allowed to give assessments. Okay. In accordance to the law and IDEA and the state. And then we're going to talk about who should be giving certain assessments and why you need to ask specifically for that to happen and don't back down on it. Now, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, then what you need to do about it and how you can go about it. So that's what we'll talk about tomorrow. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.